Seduction has existed since the dawn of human history. Long before weapons, politics, or armies, people learned that desire and fascination could move mountains. A whisper could open more doors than a sword. A glance could win more power than a war. Robert Greene tells us that seduction is not only about love or romance, it is a form of social influence, a hidden language that can be used in every aspect of life, from politics and business to friendships and art. Kings, queens, leaders, and artists have used seduction to control hearts, guide crowds, and shape destinies. But seduction is also dangerous. It can destroy as much as it can create. A skilled seducer can inspire loyalty, passion, and admiration, yet at the same time they can plant jealousy, obsession, and despair. That is why Greene calls seduction a power game of emotions. Unlike brute force, which relies on fear, seduction works silently, softly, making the target want to surrender. In today's world, where everyone is shouting louder, seduction is about subtlety. It is about making people come to you, willingly, without resistance. And to master this art, you must understand both sides. The types of seductive personalities that naturally draw others in, and the step-by-step process that creates attraction, builds tension, and finally wins surrender. This book is divided into two main parts. Part 1. The Seductive Character. Here Greene introduces 9 archetypes, timeless figures like the Siren, the Rake, and the Charmer. Each one represents a unique way of attracting people. By studying them, you learn how seduction is less about physical beauty and more about energy, presence, and psychology. Part 2. The Seductive Process. Once you understand the characters, Greene shows how to apply their powers in real life. Seduction is revealed as a journey with phases, stirring interest, leading astray, and finally reaching the precipice where emotions run deep and dangerous. This leaves us with an important thought. Seduction is not a choice. It is a constant part of life. Either you are aware of it or you are controlled by it. By learning its principles, you gain freedom, the freedom to protect yourself and the power to inspire others. And so, we now enter the first part, where Robert Greene unveils the 9 faces of seduction. Let us step into part 1, the seductive character. Seduction begins with who you are, not just what you do. Before any words are spoken, before any gestures are made, people feel the force of your personality, your presence, your aura, your energy. This is what first attracts or repels others. Robert Greene explains that throughout history, certain personality types have naturally drawn others to them. These people might not even try very hard, yet their charm, their mystery, or their style makes them irresistible. They are what Greene calls the seductive characters. Each seductive character represents a unique form of attraction. Some use beauty and sensuality, others use playfulness or mystery. Some inspire through charisma, while others enchant by making people feel special and desired. What they all share is this: they awaken emotions that people cannot resist. Understanding these characters is the first step to becoming more seductive. Why? Because when you recognize which type matches your natural strengths, you can amplify it. Instead of pretending to be someone else, you refine the qualities that already lie within you. At the same time, by studying these types, you also learn how others may try to seduce you, making you less vulnerable to manipulation. Part 1 of this book introduces 9 archetypes of seduction. Each one is like a mask that magnifies certain qualities. From the timeless beauty of the Siren to the passionate devotion of the Rake, from the playful freedom of the natural to the magnetic force of the charismatic, these characters show the many faces of attraction. We begin with the oldest and perhaps the most powerful of them all, the Siren. Let us step into Chapter 1 and meet this eternal figure of desire. Chapter 1. The Siren. From the ancient seas of Greek mythology to the modern world of glamour, one figure has always haunted human imagination: the Siren. The Siren is the master of attraction through presence and allure. She does not chase. She does not persuade with logic. Instead, she makes others feel drawn to her, almost helplessly, like sailors pulled toward dangerous waters. In Greek legend, Sirens were creatures whose voices were so enchanting that sailors would steer their ships straight into rocks unable to resist. The myth is powerful not because of the monsters themselves, but because it reveals a timeless truth. Human beings are often seduced not by reason, but by the promise of escape, pleasure, and beauty. Robert Greene explains that the siren is one of the most ancient seductive archetypes because she offers something people desperately crave: release from responsibility, boredom, and routine. Life is often full of struggle and discipline. The siren whispers, "Come with me, and you will forget your burdens. You will live in pleasure, in fantasy, in beauty." The power of the siren. The siren seduces in two main ways. Through appearance, her look, style, and aura create fascination. Cleopatra, for example, was not the most traditionally beautiful woman in history, but her presence, her eyes, her voice, her perfume, her elegance, made powerful men like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony surrender to her completely. Through voice and presence, the siren knows the art of slowing things down. She speaks softly, draws others closer, and creates an atmosphere of intimacy. This calm, magnetic energy makes people forget the noise of the world. The siren's strength lies not in chasing, but in making people chase her. She stays slightly out of reach, creating both desire and frustration. Why the siren works. The appeal of the siren is timeless because people are often tired of endless responsibility. A hard-working man, for example, may secretly long for escape, softness, and comfort. A woman weighed down by rules may crave freedom and indulgence. The siren embodies that dream. She is the fantasy of surrender. The siren makes people feel they are stepping into a different world, more colorful, more sensual, more alive. This contrast with everyday life is what makes her power irresistible, the dangers of the siren. But Greene warns, the siren's power is dangerous. For the one being seduced, it can feel addictive. They may lose sense of reason, abandon responsibilities, and even risk everything. For the siren herself, the danger is in over-relying on looks or surface charm, forgetting that true seduction is also about atmosphere, mystery, and emotional control. History shows both sides. Cleopatra rose to power by using her siren qualities, but when she pushed too far, it ended in downfall. The siren's power must be handled with care. Lessons of the siren. Do not chase. Instead, create attraction by presence, style, and energy. Slow things down. Use calmness, pauses, and softness to build intimacy. Offer escape. Make people feel they are leaving behind stress when they are with you. Be careful. Too much indulgence can destroy both seducer and seduced. The siren is timeless, eternal, and unforgettable. She does not need to run after others, because her power lies in drawing the world to her. But seduction comes in many forms. If the siren offers escape through beauty and softness, the next archetype seduces in the complete opposite way, through raw energy, passion, and intensity. Now let us step into Chapter 2, The Rake, where desire burns like fire. Chapter 2, The Rake. If the siren seduces through softness, beauty, and escape, the rake seduces through energy, intensity, and desire. He is not gentle. He does not whisper promises of comfort. Instead, he ignites passion, excitement, and obsession. The rake is the embodiment of raw, unrestrained desire. He is magnetic because he is audacious, relentless, and fearless in pursuit of what he wants. People are drawn to him not because of logic or reason, but because being near him feels like standing at the edge of a storm, dangerous, thrilling, and intoxicating. The power of the rake. The rake's seduction lies in three main strategies. Bold pursuit, he expresses desire openly and unapologetically. Unlike the siren who creates longing by withholding, the rake creates it by intensity. He makes his intentions known, and his energy pulls people in like a whirlwind. Flattery and attention. The rake knows how to make someone feel irresistible. He notices details, gives compliments that feel genuine, and makes people feel seen in ways they rarely experience. This combination of charm and intensity is addictive. Risk and rebellion. The rake lives on the edge, challenging rules and social norms. This dangerous aura makes him exciting. People are drawn to the thrill, sensing that being with him is an escape from ordinary life. The rake's strength is in his focus and energy. He is relentless, magnetic, and intoxicating. His presence makes others feel alive, passionate, and desired. Why the rake works. Humans are often bored by routine, discipline, and predictability. The rake offers the thrill of risk, the excitement of desire, and the intensity of passion. He represents the fantasy of living without limits, where emotions are raw and life feels more alive. Being near a rake is like standing in the eye of a firestorm. It is thrilling, chaotic, and unforgettable. People are drawn to him because he makes them feel more than they feel in ordinary life. The dangers of the rake. But the rake's power comes with risk. For those being seduced, the intensity can be overwhelming. They may become obsessed, lose perspective, or make choices driven purely by emotion. For the rake himself, the danger lies in overindulgence and lack of restraint. Without control, he risks leaving destruction in his wake, harming both himself and those drawn to him. History provides examples of men whose charm and intensity brought them both fame and ruin. The rake's power is a double-edged sword. It can captivate, inspire, and transform, but it can also consume. Lessons of the rake. Be bold. Express desire openly and unapologetically. Notice and value others. Make them feel seen and desired. Embrace intensity. Harness energy, passion, and audacity without losing control. Balance thrill with responsibility. Avoid obsession and destructive behavior. The rake seduces through fire, energy, and intensity, while the siren seduces through beauty, softness, and escape. Both are timeless archetypes, teaching the subtle art of influence and attraction. The next archetype, however, approaches seduction differently, not through allure or intensity, but through the mind. In Chapter 3, we meet the ideal lover, the one who captures hearts by understanding desire itself. Chapter 3. The ideal lover. While the siren seduces through beauty and escape, and the rake seduces through energy and intensity, the ideal lover seduces through understanding, empathy, and reflection. He or she creates a mirror of desire, showing people what they long for most, often before they even realize it. The ideal lover is a master of attention. They notice what others crave, admiration, passion, adventure, or reassurance, and reflect it back in ways that feel deeply personal. This skill makes them magnetic, because humans naturally gravitate toward those who seem to understand their innermost desires. The power of the ideal lover. The ideal lover seduces in three main ways. Attentive observation. They watch, listen, and learn what makes people feel valued. By showing that they understand desires and fantasies, the ideal lover builds trust and intimacy effortlessly. Personalized allure. Unlike the siren's universal beauty or the rake's raw energy, the ideal lover adapts to the individual. They appear as the perfect match for each person, embodying the qualities that resonate most deeply. Emotional connection. The ideal lover creates a sense of being fully seen and understood. Their charm lies not in boldness or appearance alone, but in the subtle emotional resonance they provide, making interactions unforgettable. The ideal lover's strength lies in perception and adaptability. They can evoke deep longing without loud declarations, without forceful pursuit. Their power is subtle, psychological, and profoundly intimate. Why the ideal lover works. Humans desire connection, understanding, and affirmation. The ideal lover satisfies this yearning by reflecting back the qualities people value most. They make individuals feel admired, appreciated, and desired in ways no one else does. Being near the ideal lover feels like being fully recognized and cherished. They awaken fantasies, fulfill emotional needs, and create a sense of completeness, making their presence irresistible. The dangers of the ideal lover. The ideal lover's skills can be misused. If driven by selfish motives, they can manipulate others, creating dependency or obsession. For the ideal lover themselves, the danger is losing authenticity. becoming someone they are not, merely a reflection of others' desires. History shows many who have used emotional insight to charm, influence, or gain power. The ideal lover's power is quiet but profound, shaping hearts and minds with subtlety. Lessons of the ideal lover. Observe carefully. Understand what others truly desire. Reflect admiration. Show people they are seen, valued, and appreciated. Adapt without losing authenticity. Be flexible in connection while remaining true to yourself. Build deep emotional resonance. Create intimacy through understanding rather than force or spectacle. The ideal lover teaches us that seduction is not always about beauty, intensity, or fantasy. It can also be about emotional intelligence, empathy, and subtle connection. Having explored the Siren, the Rake, and the ideal lover, we now turn to a different kind of archetype, one whose power comes not from attraction, but from mystery and intrigue. In Chapter 4, we meet the dandy, a figure who seduces through uniqueness and detachment. Chapter 4. The dandy. While the Siren seduces with softness, the Rake with intensity, and the ideal lover with understanding, the dandy seduces through uniqueness, independence, and effortless detachment. The dandy is not overly available. They are mysterious, unconventional, and impossible to categorize. The dandy's allure lies in their refusal to conform. They live outside society's expectations, embracing eccentricity and individuality. People are drawn to them because they represent freedom, the possibility of living life on one's own terms, unbound by rules or pressures. The power of the dandy. The dandy seduces in three main ways. Nonchalance. The dandy does not chase. They appear unbothered and unattached, making their attention feel like a rare gift. This calm detachment creates desire, as people naturally want what seems just out of reach. Individual style. The dandy crafts a distinct persona. Clothing, mannerisms, and speech reflect uniqueness and confidence. Their style becomes a signature that attracts admiration, curiosity, and fascination. Mystery and intrigue. By maintaining ambiguity, the dandy encourages others to project their fantasies onto them. This subtle manipulation of perception increases allure, making the dandy unforgettable. The dandy's strength lies in independence. They seduce without effort, without need, and without drama. Their power comes from the perception that they are unattainable yet fascinating. Why the dandy works. Humans are drawn to novelty and freedom. The dandy represents escape from conformity, boredom, and predictability. Being near them feels like a glimpse into a world where individuality is celebrated and the ordinary rules no longer apply. The dandy inspires curiosity and admiration. People want to know them, to be close, to understand the enigma they present. This sense of mystery is a form of subtle but powerful seduction. The dangers of the dandy. The dandy's independence can also be isolating. If taken to extremes, detachment can lead to loneliness or emotional distance from those who seek deeper connection. For the seduced, chasing a dandy may become frustrating or unfulfilling, as the dandy resists conventional attachment. History remembers many famous dandies, men and women whose charm lay in being completely themselves, defying norms and attracting attention without overt effort. Their power is subtle, refined, and lasting, but must be balanced with genuine connection. Lessons of the dandy. Cultivate individuality. Embrace what makes you different. Remain unattached. Let your presence feel effortless and unforced. Create intrigue. Allow others to project and discover, rather than revealing everything at once. Balance mystery with authenticity. Avoid isolation and maintain meaningful connections. The dandy teaches us that seduction is not only about passion, beauty, or attention. It can also come from independence, uniqueness, and detachment. Having explored the Siren, the Rake, the ideal lover, and the dandy, the next archetype represents a different power entirely, one of confidence, dominance, and control. In Chapter 5, we meet the natural, whose charm is effortless, genuine, and intoxicating. Chapter 5, the natural. While the siren seduces through beauty, the rake through intensity, the ideal lover through emotional resonance, and the dandy through uniqueness, the natural seduces through innocence, spontaneity, and authenticity. The natural is magnetic because they are genuine. They remind others of childhood wonder, playfulness, and unself-conscious charm. The natural's appeal lies in their simplicity. They do not manipulate or strategize. Instead, they inspire trust, openness, and joy. People are drawn to them because being around a natural feels effortless, refreshing, and fun. The power of the natural. The natural seduces in three main ways. Childlike playfulness. They laugh easily, engage openly, and express delight in small things. Their sense of play makes others feel lighter, happier, and more alive. Sincerity and authenticity. The natural shows emotions without pretense. Vulnerability, honesty, and warmth make them approachable and endearing, creating deep emotional connections. Spontaneity. The natural lives in the moment. They embrace surprises, improvisation, and freedom, which makes interactions exciting and unpredictable. The natural's strength lies in presence. They attract through openness, not calculation. Their charm comes from being fully themselves, reminding others of the joy of simple, unguarded connection. Why the natural works? Humans often long for authenticity in a world full of pretense. The natural satisfies this desire, making people feel safe, cherished, and free to express themselves. Being near a natural is like stepping into a world of sincerity, laughter, and emotional warmth. The natural's magnetism is subtle but powerful. They seduce not by strategy or intensity, but by the effortless comfort and joy they inspire. The dangers of the natural. Even the natural has risks. Over-reliance on innocence or playfulness can appear naive, leaving them vulnerable to manipulation. For those drawn to the natural, idealization can occur. They may expect perpetual joy, forgetting that real life includes complexity, responsibility, and emotional challenges. History remembers figures who captivated through purity, humor, and authenticity. Their power is gentle yet lasting, showing that true seduction does not always demand overt allure or drama. It can flourish in openness and heart. Lessons of the natural. Be authentic. Express emotions without pretense. Embrace playfulness. Engage others with joy, humor, and curiosity. Live in the moment. Allow spontaneity to create excitement and connection. Balance innocence with awareness. Stay open without being naive or careless. The natural teaches that seduction can be effortless, sincere, and deeply human. By combining authenticity, joy, and spontaneity, they create bonds that are lasting and emotionally resonant. Having explored the siren, the rake, the ideal lover, the dandy, and the natural, we now turn to archetypes that wield power through intellect, strategy, and persuasion. In Chapter 6, we meet the Coquette, who seduces by mastering delay, tease, and anticipation. Chapter 6, the Coquette. While the siren seduces with beauty, the rake with intensity, the ideal lover with emotional resonance, the dandy with uniqueness, and the natural with authenticity, the coquette seduces through delay, tease, and strategic restraint. They create desire by making people wait, heightening anticipation, and keeping others slightly off balance. The coquette's allure lies in their ability to combine attention with withdrawal. They are neither fully available nor completely distant, and this ambiguity sparks fascination. People are drawn to them because the chase itself becomes intoxicating. The thrill of pursuit is just as powerful as the reward. The power of the coquette. The coquette seduces in three main ways. Strategic withdrawal. They know when to appear and when to vanish, creating longing and obsession. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and the coquette uses this principle masterfully. Controlled attention. The coquette balances engagement with detachment. They offer glimpses of desire without full surrender, making their presence irresistible. Ambiguity and mystery. By keeping intentions unclear, the coquette allows others to project fantasies, creating a psychological hold that is hard to resist. The coquette's strength lies in control. Unlike the Rake or Siren, who overwhelm with intensity or beauty, the Coquette captivates by manipulating timing, attention, and expectation. Their power is subtle, patient, and deeply psychological. Why the Coquette works? Humans are naturally drawn to challenge and anticipation. The Coquette exploits this by creating tension between desire and delay. Being near a Coquette is thrilling because each interaction feels like a dance, never predictable, always engaging. The Coquette's magnetism is derived from mastery of pacing. Desire grows not only from presence, but from calculated absence, teasing, and restraint. This psychological tension makes them unforgettable. The dangers of the Coquette. The Coquette's strategy carries risk. Overplaying withdrawal can lead to frustration, resentment, or misunderstanding. For those seduced, obsession can take hold, clouding judgment and creating emotional instability. For the Coquette, relying solely on tease and delay can become hollow if not balanced with genuine connection or authenticity. History shows many who used withdrawal to charm and manipulate, but those who mastered it with subtlety inspired fascination rather than resentment. Lessons of the Coquette. Master timing. Know when to engage and when to withdraw. Create anticipation. Tease without being cruel or manipulative. Balance mystery with authenticity. Make interactions intriguing but remain genuine. Avoid overplaying the game. Ensure desire builds without leading to frustration or harm. The Coquette teaches that seduction is not always direct. It can be the art of restraint, pacing, and subtle psychological influence. Having explored the Siren, the Rake, the ideal lover, the dandy, the natural, and the Coquette, the next archetype demonstrates the power of intellect, wit, and charm. In Chapter 7, we meet the charmer, whose influence lies in ease, grace, and conversational skill. Chapter 7. The Charmer. While the Siren seduces with beauty, the Rake with intensity, the ideal lover with emotional resonance, the dandy with uniqueness, the natural with authenticity, and the Coquette with strategic restraint, the charmer seduces through ease, grace, and social skill. The charmer's power lies not in looks, intensity, or mystery, but in making people feel good, appreciated, and admired. The charmer's appeal is universal because humans crave attention, validation, and enjoyment. They attract not by force or drama, but by creating harmony, smoothing tension, and making others feel like the most important person in the room. The power of the charmer. The charmer seduces in three main ways. Attentive listening. The charmer genuinely listens, responds thoughtfully, and makes people feel understood. This attention is magnetic because it fulfills a deep psychological need for recognition. Ease and sociability. They move through social situations effortlessly, adapting to personalities and moods. Their presence is comforting, engaging, and uplifting, making others naturally drawn to them. Subtle influence. The charmer persuades without pressure, using grace, humor, and tact. They guide others toward decisions or feelings without triggering resistance, making their influence feel effortless. The charmer's strength lies in connection. Unlike the Rake or the Siren, who dominate with intensity or allure, the charmer captivates through empathy, warmth, and social intelligence. People want to be around them because they feel good, appreciated, and included. Why the charmer works. Humans are naturally attracted to those who make life smoother, easier, and more enjoyable. The charmer creates positive emotional experiences, building trust, admiration, and desire without overt seduction. Being near a charmer feels effortless and uplifting. They make social interactions pleasurable, turning ordinary moments into memorable experiences. This ease creates attachment, loyalty, and attraction. The dangers of the charmer. The charmer's reliance on social skill can backfire if used manipulatively. Charm without authenticity can be shallow, creating temporary admiration but not deep connection. For those seduced, dependence on charm can lead to unrealistic expectations or misplaced trust. History shows leaders, influencers, and entertainers who used charm to captivate crowds and individuals alike. Their power is subtle, persuasive, and enduring, but only when paired with integrity and sincerity. Lessons of the charmer. Listen actively and attentively. Make others feel seen and valued. Cultivate social ease. Adapt to moods and personalities gracefully. Use influence subtly. Guide without pressure and inspire without manipulation. Balance charm with authenticity. Avoid empty flattery or manipulation. The charmer teaches that seduction is not always about beauty, intensity, or mystery. It can also come from ease, social intelligence, and the ability to make others feel special. The next archetype, however, elevates influence from charm to magnetism itself. In Chapter 8, we meet the charismatic, whose presence commands attention, inspires devotion, and creates almost irresistible influence wherever they go. Chapter 8. The charismatic. While the siren seduces with beauty, the rake with intensity, the ideal lover with emotional resonance, the dandy with uniqueness, the natural with authenticity, the coquette with strategic restraint, and the charmer with social grace, the charismatic seduces through force of presence. The charismatic captivates not merely by charm or allure, but by the energy, confidence, and vision they project. The charismatic's power lies in inspiration. People are drawn to them because they sense strength, purpose, and conviction. Their presence makes others feel part of something greater, awakening admiration, loyalty, and devotion. The power of the charismatic. The charismatic seduces in three main ways: confidence and authority. They project certainty and self-assurance. This authority makes others trust, follow, and feel safe in their presence. Emotional intensity. The charismatic communicates passion and conviction, stirring emotions in ways that feel immediate and compelling. People are drawn not only to their words, but to the energy they radiate. Vision and inspiration. They articulate ideas, dreams, or ideals with clarity and force. By inspiring others to believe in something bigger than themselves, the charismatic creates devotion and attraction that goes beyond superficial charm. The charismatic strength lies in presence and energy. Unlike the charmer who attracts through connection and ease, or the rake who overwhelms with intensity, the charismatic creates an almost magnetic field around them. People are naturally compelled to pay attention and follow. Why the charismatic works? Humans are drawn to visionaries, leaders, and figures who embody power and purpose. The charismatic satisfies the desire for guidance, inspiration, and a sense of belonging to something significant. Being near a charismatic feels transformative. Their energy elevates emotions, awakens ambition, and creates loyalty, admiration, and attraction simultaneously. The dangers of the charismatic. Charismatic power can be dangerous if misused. A charismatic who lacks integrity may manipulate, dominate, or exploit devotion. Followers may become dependent, blind to flaws, or overly influenced by personality rather than truth or reason. History remembers both leaders who uplifted and those who corrupted. The charismatic's influence is potent, but it demands responsibility, moral grounding, and self-awareness. Lessons of the charismatic. Cultivate confidence. Project certainty and self-assurance. Harness emotional intensity. Inspire others without overwhelming or manipulating. Articulate vision. Lead and motivate with clarity and purpose. Balance power with responsibility. Avoid exploiting influence for selfish gain. The charismatic teaches that seduction and influence are not always about personal allure, charm, or mystery. They can also emerge from presence, purpose, and the ability to inspire. The next archetype, however, demonstrates how fame, recognition, and public persona can create desire. In Chapter 9, we meet the star, whose attraction comes from visibility, admiration, and the longing to be part of their world. Chapter 9. The star. While the siren seduces with beauty, the rake with intensity, the ideal lover with emotional resonance, the dandy with uniqueness, the natural with authenticity, the coquette with strategic restraint, the charmer with social ease, and the charismatic with force of presence, the star seduces through visibility, admiration, and aspiration. The star captivates because people desire what they cannot fully reach, the allure of fame, prestige, and being part of a larger-than-life world. The star's power lies in being noticed. They are unforgettable because they occupy space, command attention, and make ordinary life feel extraordinary. People are drawn not only to who they are, but to the lifestyle, image, and fantasy they represent. The power of the star. The star seduces in three main ways: visibility and recognition. They are seen, acknowledged, and admired. Their very presence attracts attention, making others want to be near them or share in their spotlight. Aspirational persona. The star embodies qualities, lifestyles, or ideals that others aspire to achieve. This projection creates desire and admiration, as people long to touch the world the star inhabits. Magnetism through persona. They carefully cultivate image and reputation, creating intrigue and fascination. Their allure comes as much from perception as from reality. The star's strength lies in perception. Unlike the charismatic, who attracts through presence and energy, or the charmer, who draws through personal connection, the star captivates by existing in the public eye and making others feel part of a glamorous, desirable world. Why the star works. Humans are naturally drawn to figures who stand out, inspire aspiration, and occupy positions of admiration. The star offers the fantasy of proximity to greatness and the excitement of recognition by association. Being near a star feels thrilling because it elevates ordinary experiences, making people feel more alive, inspired, or important simply by being present. The dangers of the star. The star's power can be isolating. Relying too much on image, fame, or external validation can create superficial relationships, emptiness, or dependency on others' admiration. For those drawn to the star, desire may become obsession or envy, blinding them to reality. History shows stars who enchanted millions but suffered personal struggles, illustrating that attraction based on visibility must be tempered with authenticity, humility, and self-awareness. Lessons of the star. Cultivate a presence that is noticeable yet aspirational. Create a persona that inspires admiration and desire. Balance visibility with authenticity. Ensure your image reflects substance, not just surface. Avoid over-reliance on attention. True influence combines recognition with meaningful connection. The star teaches that seduction can extend beyond personality, charm, or intensity. It can also emerge from the perception of greatness, admiration, and aspiration. Having explored the 9 archetypes, we now move to Part 2, the seductive process, where the focus shifts from understanding archetypes to applying seduction strategically. In this next section, we will examine how attraction is built, maintained, and escalated in real-world interactions, combining insight, timing, and psychological principles. Chapter 10. The Anti-Seducer. While the previous archetypes show the many ways seduction can captivate, charm, and inspire, the Anti-Seducer teaches the opposite lesson. This archetype repels rather than attracts. They demonstrate what to avoid if you hope to influence, allure, or leave a lasting impression. The anti-seducer's power is negative. It stems from habits, behaviors, and attitudes that drive people away. They often fail because of self-absorption, insecurity, lack of awareness, or clumsy attempts at connection. Observing the anti-seducer is a reminder that attraction is as much about avoiding missteps as it is about cultivating strengths. The traits of the anti-seducer. The anti-seducer alienates others in several ways. Obvious self-interest. They prioritize their own desires, needs, and ego over others, creating an immediate sense of imbalance and discomfort. Lack of presence. They fail to engage, listen, or make people feel valued. Their inattention and distraction diminish interest and connection. Clumsiness and overcompensation. They may attempt charm or intensity, but lack subtlety, timing, or emotional intelligence, leading to awkward or off-putting interactions. The anti-seducer's danger lies in unawareness. They are often oblivious to the behaviors that repel others, which prevents growth and self-improvement. By contrast, the previous archetypes show mastery of attraction, energy, and influence. Why the anti-seducer matters. Studying the anti-seducer is crucial for understanding seduction fully. They highlight the mistakes that sabotage desire, intimacy, and influence. By recognizing these traits in ourselves or others, we learn the boundaries and principles of true attraction. The anti-seducer reminds us that seduction is not just about action. It is also about restraint, awareness, and alignment of intention, energy, and perception. Lessons of the anti-seducer. Avoid self-centeredness. Prioritize connection and mutual value. Be present, listen, engage, and make others feel recognized. Cultivate subtlety. Understand timing, tone, and social cues. Reflect on feedback. Notice behaviors that may repel and adjust accordingly. The anti-seducer serves as a cautionary archetype, teaching that influence and attraction are delicate arts that require awareness, strategy, and authenticity. Having explored all the major archetypes, from the Siren to the Charismatic, and even the pitfalls of the anti-seducer, we are now ready to move into Part 2, the Seductive Process, where theory becomes practice. In this section, we will learn how to apply these archetypes, strategies, and lessons to real-life interactions, creating the desired influence with skill and subtlety. Part 2. The Seductive Process. If Part 1 showed us the faces of seduction, Part 2 reveals the steps of the dance itself. A seductive character may have the natural charm, but without the right process, their power remains incomplete. Seduction is like a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and a climax. It is not random. Every move builds on the last, pulling the target deeper into your world. You cannot leap straight to the end. Desire must be awakened, curiosity must grow, and emotions must be guided carefully, layer by layer. Robert Greene explains that seduction is an art of timing and sequence. Too fast, and you break the spell. Too slow, and the moment slips away. The great seducers of history understood this rhythm. They knew when to hold back, when to push forward, and when to strike with boldness. But before any step can even begin, there is one critical choice: who you direct your power toward. Not everyone is open to seduction. Some people are too distracted, too guarded, or too self-sufficient. The first move, therefore, is selection. You must find the one whose heart carries hidden emptiness, the one whose life holds secret dissatisfaction. And so the seductive process begins with the most important decision of all: choosing the right victim. Chapter 1. Choose the right victim. Seduction begins long before any words are spoken or gestures made. The first and most crucial step is choosing the right target. Greene emphasizes that not everyone is equally susceptible. Some people resist, some are indifferent, and others are actively looking for excitement. The right victim is emotionally open, seeking novelty, or quietly dissatisfied with the predictability of their life. The art of selecting the right target is subtle. It requires observation, patience, and understanding. You are not simply picking someone at random. You are identifying who will respond to your influence most naturally and willingly. Those who are bored, disillusioned, or craving attention are often most receptive. The power of selection. Choosing the right victim sets the foundation for the entire process. A willing target amplifies every move you make, from subtle hints to bold gestures. Conversely, targeting someone who is emotionally closed or resistant leads to frustration and wasted effort. Seduction is a strategic game. It always starts with the right choice. Why it works. Humans are creatures of desire. When someone is seeking excitement, attention, or emotional fulfillment, they are primed for influence. By recognizing who is open to connection and intrigue, you maximize the effectiveness of every subsequent step. The dangers of misstep. Choosing poorly can backfire. Pursuing someone uninterested can create resistance, annoyance, or even social consequences. Always read emotional cues carefully. The goal is mutual engagement, not coercion. Lessons of the chapter. Observe carefully. Watch for boredom, dissatisfaction, or longing. Select thoughtfully. Focus on targets who are receptive, not resistant. Patience matters. Wait for the right moment. Timing is crucial. Respect boundaries. Seduction is most effective when desire is mutual. The choice of a target determines the entire rhythm of seduction. Once the right person is identified, the next step is to create a false sense of security, drawing them in without alerting them to your intent. In Chapter 2, we explore how subtlety, humor, and indirect approaches lay the groundwork for desire. Chapter 2. Create a false sense of security. Once the right target has been chosen, the next step in the seductive process is subtlety. Greene emphasizes that seduction thrives on comfort, trust, and ease. People resist what feels aggressive, forced, or threatening. To draw someone in, you must first make them feel safe, relaxed, and unconsciously open to your influence. The art of creating a false sense of security lies in indirect approaches. You do not declare your intentions, nor do you overwhelm with attention. Instead, you move slowly, weaving connection through friendship, humor, or shared experiences. Your presence should feel effortless, familiar, and comforting, like a gentle current that carries them toward fascination without struggle. The power of indirection. Approach indirectly. Let the target see you as a companion, confidant, or source of amusement first. This lowers defenses and encourages trust. People are far more likely to respond to desire when they feel it grows naturally, rather than when it is forced upon them. Why it works. Humans are wary of threat and pressure. Direct pursuit can trigger suspicion or resistance. By creating comfort and security, the seducer enters the target's emotional space quietly. The mind relaxes, and curiosity begins to flourish, preparing them for the next phase of seduction. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive friendliness or attention can backfire. If the target senses manipulation or false motives, trust erodes. The key is subtlety, enough to lower defenses, but not so much that your intent becomes obvious. Lessons of the chapter. Use indirect approaches. Friendship, humor, and casual interactions are tools of influence. Build trust naturally. Make your presence feel safe, familiar, and enjoyable. Encourage curiosity. Let the target's imagination begin to fill in the gaps. Avoid pressure. Desire grows strongest when the mind feels free to respond. Creating a false sense of security is the bridge from observation to fascination. Once trust is established, the next step is to send mixed signals, introducing unpredictability, intrigue, and the subtle tension that heightens desire. In Chapter 3, we explore how carefully crafted ambiguity keeps the target captivated and emotionally engaged. Chapter 3. Send mixed signals. After creating comfort and a false sense of security, the next step in seduction is to introduce unpredictability. Greene emphasizes that fascination often grows from tension. People are drawn to what they cannot fully understand or predict. Sending mixed signals keeps the target off balance, curious, and deeply engaged. The art of mixed signals is subtle. You alternate between warmth and distance, attention and withdrawal, playfulness and seriousness. This unpredictability stimulates the target's mind, encouraging them to chase answers and decode your behavior. Every glance, gesture, or remark becomes layered with meaning. The power of ambiguity. Being unpredictable sparks fascination. When people cannot fully anticipate your reactions, their attention intensifies. Curiosity becomes desire, and the target begins to invest emotionally in trying to understand you. This is the essence of psychological allure. The mind falls in love before the heart even realizes it. Why it works. Humans are wired to seek patterns. When a pattern is broken through subtle contradictions or ambiguity, the mind works harder to resolve uncertainty. This mental engagement strengthens attraction, creating a psychological pull that feels irresistible. The dangers of overdoing it. Too much inconsistency can lead to frustration or mistrust. If the target feels manipulated or confused beyond intrigue, desire can quickly turn to irritation. Balance is key. Mystery and unpredictability should stimulate, not alienate. Lessons of the chapter. Alternate attention and withdrawal. Keep your presence engaging but not constant. Use playfulness and subtle contradictions. Let curiosity grow naturally. Create emotional tension without causing distress. Fascination thrives on intrigue, not frustration. Balance consistency with unpredictability. The goal is captivation, not confusion. Mixed signals are the spark that ignites emotional investment. Once the target is intrigued and curious, the next step is to appear as an object of desire, letting social proof and subtle competition increase fascination. In Chapter 4, we explore how being admired by others enhances your magnetic allure. Chapter 4. Appear to be an object of desire. Once curiosity and intrigue have been established, the next step in seduction is to create social proof. Greene emphasizes that desire intensifies when others appear to want what you have. Humans are naturally drawn to objects of admiration, approval, or competition. By subtly signaling that you are desired, you increase your allure exponentially. The art of appearing desirable lies in subtlety. You do not overtly boast or flaunt attention. Instead, you allow hints, glances, conversations, or situations that reveal your social value. When others admire or pursue you, the target instinctively notices and is drawn in by the implied scarcity and social validation. The power of social proof. Being admired by others creates urgency and enhances fascination. People desire what they perceive as coveted. When your target sees that you are valued, respected, or pursued by others, their mind interprets this as a sign of worthiness, an irresistible magnet for attraction. Why it works. Humans are inherently competitive and status-conscious. Seeing others desire something signals quality and value. By positioning yourself as admired, you leverage this psychological principle, making the target more emotionally invested and eager to connect. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive flaunting or overt bragging can backfire. If the target feels manipulated, threatened, or excluded, desire may diminish. Subtlety is key. Let admiration be noticed, not announced. Lessons of the chapter. Demonstrate value indirectly. Let others show admiration naturally. Create gentle competition. Desire grows when perceived as scarce or valued. Balance visibility with mystery. Appear desirable without arrogance or pressure. Enhance attraction through social context. Human desire is often influenced by perception and consensus. Appearing desirable primes the target's mind for deeper attachment. Once they recognize your value, the next step is to create a need, stirring discontent and positioning yourself as essential. In Chapter 5, we explore how desire deepens when the target feels incomplete without your presence. Chapter 5. Create a need. Once the target recognizes your value and is intrigued, the next step is to create a sense of incompleteness, to make them feel that something essential is missing when you are not present. Greene emphasizes that desire grows strongest when people perceive you as indispensable, filling an emotional or psychological gap in their lives. The art of creating need lies in subtle suggestion. You do not demand attention or declare importance. Instead, you gently highlight the pleasures, experiences, or emotional resonance they encounter with you. At the same time, you emphasize what is lacking when you are absent. This contrast between presence and absence creates longing and dependency. The power of absence and contrast. Humans respond to what is scarce or missing. By allowing moments of absence or distance, the target experiences a heightened awareness of your value. Desire intensifies as they imagine life without you, often making them more attentive, engaged, and emotionally invested. Why it works. The psychology of need is rooted in scarcity. People crave what they feel is missing or unattainable. By becoming a source of pleasure, intrigue, or emotional resonance, you position yourself as someone they cannot ignore. Desire becomes tied to emotional necessity rather than mere attraction. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive absence or overemphasis on need can create frustration or resentment. If the target feels manipulated, longing can turn into irritation. Balance is crucial. Absence should deepen desire, not provoke anxiety or detachment. Lessons of the chapter. Highlight your value subtly. Let the target notice the unique experiences you offer. Use absence strategically. Scarcity amplifies emotional attachment. Create emotional contrast. Make presence desirable, absence felt. Balance influence with authenticity. Desire grows strongest when emotional need feels natural. Creating a sense of need prepares the target for deeper fascination and emotional engagement. Once desire is established, the next step is to master the art of insinuation, suggesting and hinting rather than stating, allowing imagination and curiosity to take over. In Chapter 6, we explore how subtlety and suggestion can make attraction irresistible. Chapter 6. Master the art of insinuation. After creating need and desire, the next step in the seductive process is subtlety. Greene emphasizes that directness can destroy fascination. People resist being told what to feel or how to desire. Instead, the true power of seduction lies in suggestion, hinting, implying, and letting the target's imagination complete the picture. The art of insinuation is about planting ideas without overtly stating them. A glance, a smile, a carefully chosen word, or a story can suggest possibilities, desires, or emotions. By leaving space for interpretation, the target becomes an active participant in the process, imagining scenarios and feelings that draw them closer to you. The power of suggestion. Humans are drawn to mystery and ambiguity. When the mind is invited to fill in gaps, desire deepens. The insinuator allows fascination to grow organically, making the target feel as if they are discovering the attraction themselves rather than being influenced. Why it works. Direct statements can trigger resistance or rational defense. Subtle hints bypass these barriers, engaging the subconscious. The target begins to internalize attraction, curiosity, and emotional connection without conscious effort. The dangers of overdoing it. Too much ambiguity can confuse or frustrate. The balance is crucial. Insinuation should intrigue, not alienate. Over-suggesting or leaving too many gaps may lead to misinterpretation or emotional fatigue. Lessons of the chapter. Plant ideas subtly. Use hints, stories, and gestures to suggest rather than state. Engage the imagination. Let the target become an active participant in desire. Balance clarity and mystery. Fascination grows when curiosity is piqued, but not lost. Avoid manipulation. Insinuation works best when it stimulates natural attraction, not coercion. Mastering insinuation sets the stage for deep emotional connection. Once subtle suggestion is in place, the next step is to enter the target's spirit, aligning with their moods, values, and desires to create an even stronger bond. In Chapter 7, we explore how empathy and mirroring enhance influence and attachment. Chapter 7. Enter their spirit. Once subtle suggestion has stirred curiosity and desire, the next step is to align with the target emotionally and mentally. Greene emphasizes that seduction is not just about allure, it is about connection. By entering the target's spirit, you mirror their moods, values, and interests, creating an almost subconscious bond. The art of entering their spirit lies in empathy and observation. Listen deeply, notice their passions, fears, and dreams, and reflect them in your words, gestures, and energy. When the target feels that you truly understand and resonate with them, a sense of intimacy and trust emerges naturally. The power of connection. Humans are wired to respond to recognition and validation. When someone reflects their inner world back to them, it creates a magnetic pull. You become more than a presence. You become a mirror of their desires, a companion for their thoughts, and a source of emotional resonance. Why it works. Connection fosters trust and attachment. By aligning with their spirit, you deepen fascination while simultaneously lowering resistance. The target begins to feel that you are indispensable, not just as a seducer, but as someone who understands them on a profound level. The dangers of overdoing it. Over-mirroring or feigning values can backfire. Authenticity is crucial. If the target senses manipulation or insincerity, trust is broken and attraction diminishes. Empathy must be genuine, even when applied strategically. Lessons of the chapter. Observe carefully, understand the target's moods, values, and desires. Mirror subtly. Reflect their world to create emotional resonance. Build intimacy naturally. Connection strengthens fascination and loyalty. Maintain authenticity. Emotional alignment must feel sincere, not contrived. Entering the target's spirit deepens emotional engagement and prepares them for temptation. Once understanding and connection are established, the next step is to create temptation, offering pleasures, experiences, or emotions that feel irresistible. In Chapter 8, we explore how desire is intensified when the target perceives indulgence and delight that they cannot resist. Chapter 8. Create temptation. Once emotional connection is established, the next step in seduction is to introduce irresistible temptation. Greene emphasizes that humans are naturally drawn to pleasure, novelty, and experiences that feel forbidden or rare. By offering what seems almost impossible to resist, you amplify desire and deepen emotional engagement. The art of creating temptation lies in balance. You present experiences, emotions, or moments that excite the senses and stir longing, but never make them fully attainable all at once. It's the tension between desire and restraint that heightens fascination. A smile, a touch, a shared secret, or a fleeting moment of intimacy can create the spark that makes your presence intoxicating. The power of desire. Temptation works because humans are naturally drawn to what promises pleasure, excitement, or emotional fulfillment. By crafting experiences that feel unique, luxurious, or emotionally charged, you create a sense of craving that the target cannot ignore. Desire becomes a driving force, pulling them closer to you with increasing intensity. Why it works. Humans respond more to anticipation and scarcity than to abundance. When pleasure is hinted at but not fully revealed, the mind becomes engaged in imagining and longing, making the attraction more potent. The target invests emotionally and mentally in what they cannot completely have, deepening attachment. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive or careless temptation can backfire. If the target feels manipulated or overwhelmed, desire may turn to frustration or resistance. Temptation must feel natural, enticing, and earned, not forced. Lessons of the chapter. Offer experiences that excite the senses and the mind. Balance indulgence with restraint. Scarcity amplifies desire. Engage anticipation. Make fleeting moments memorable and captivating. Avoid manipulation. Temptation is most powerful when it feels genuine. Temptation completes the first phase of seduction, stirring interest, desire, and emotional attachment. From here, seduction moves into phase 2. Lead astray, where pleasure and confusion intensify. In Chapter 9, we explore how unpredictability and suspense maintain fascination, keeping the target emotionally engaged and deeply captivated. Chapter 9. Keep them in suspense. After stirring desire through temptation, the next step in seduction is unpredictability. Greene emphasizes that suspense keeps the target emotionally engaged, intrigued, and mentally invested. Predictability diminishes fascination. Humans are naturally drawn to uncertainty, curiosity, and the thrill of not knowing what comes next. The art of suspense lies in balance. You alternate between attention and withdrawal, warmth and distance, seriousness and playfulness. By being somewhat unpredictable, you stimulate the target's imagination and desire, creating a subtle tension that makes them constantly anticipate your next move. The power of uncertainty. Suspense captivates because humans are wired to seek patterns. When a pattern is broken, the mind works harder to predict and understand, which deepens focus and emotional investment. The target begins to live in a state of alert curiosity, eager to interpret every glance, word, and gesture. Why it works. Unpredictability creates psychological engagement. When people cannot fully anticipate your reactions, their attention is heightened, and their desire intensifies. Suspense transforms ordinary interactions into emotionally charged experiences, making you unforgettable. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive unpredictability can cause frustration or insecurity. If the target feels manipulated or emotionally unsafe, attraction may wane. The key is subtle tension, not chaos. Suspense should intrigue, not alienate. Lessons of the chapter. Alternate attention and withdrawal. Keep your presence compelling, but not constant. Introduce subtle contradictions. Let curiosity and anticipation grow naturally. Balance mystery with consistency. Fascination thrives when unpredictability is controlled. Avoid emotional manipulation. Suspense works best when it stimulates natural desire, not fear or confusion. Keeping someone in suspense sets the stage for deeper emotional involvement. Once uncertainty captivates, the next step is to use the power of words, carefully chosen language, suggestion, and poetic expression that heighten attraction. In Chapter 10, we explore how words can seduce, charm, and intensify emotional connection. Chapter 10. Use the power of words. Once suspense has captured attention, the next tool in seduction is language. Greene emphasizes that words can charm, intrigue, and manipulate emotion far more subtly than actions alone. Carefully chosen language allows the seducer to guide thoughts, provoke imagination, and deepen desire. The art of using words lies in suggestion, ambiguity, and rhythm. Speak with poetry, metaphor, or humor. Hint at possibilities without stating them outright. Ask questions that lead the target to conclusions themselves. Words become instruments of fascination, painting vivid images in the mind and connecting on an emotional level. The power of speech. Language shapes perception. When you speak in a way that captivates and inspires, you engage the target's imagination and emotions simultaneously. A single phrase can evoke longing, curiosity, or admiration. Words can transform ordinary moments into extraordinary, memorable experiences. Why it works. Humans respond to stories, nuance, and emotion. Suggestive speech encourages the mind to participate in seduction, filling in gaps and creating a sense of intimacy. The target becomes emotionally involved not just in your presence but in your narrative. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive verbosity or overt manipulation can repel. If language feels forced, artificial, or insincere, attraction diminishes. The key is subtlety. Charm with words. Never dominate with them. Lessons of the chapter. Speak with intention. Every word should evoke curiosity, desire, or emotion. Use suggestion and ambiguity. Let the target imagine what you hint at. Engage imagination. Stories, metaphors, and playful language deepen attachment. Maintain authenticity. Words work best when they resonate with genuine personality and emotion. Words heighten emotional engagement and anticipation. Once language has seduced, the next step is to pay attention to detail, small, thoughtful gestures that create deep, lasting attachment. In Chapter 11, we explore how careful observation and consideration amplify fascination and influence. Chapter 11. Pay attention to detail. After using words to captivate, the next phase of seduction is precision and attentiveness. Greene emphasizes that small, thoughtful gestures often create deeper emotional attachment than grandiose displays. The details, what you notice, remember, or subtly adjust, signal care, attentiveness, and emotional intelligence. The art of detail lies in observation. Notice their preferences, moods, and quirks. Remember small facts. Comment on subtle changes, or anticipate needs before they are voiced. These actions communicate that you are attentive, considerate, and deeply engaged, building trust and fascination simultaneously. The power of thoughtfulness. Details create intimacy. Humans are wired to respond positively to those who notice them in ways others do not. A compliment on a small choice, a remembered preference, or a minor act of consideration can transform casual interest into emotional investment. Why it works. When someone feels seen and understood, their attachment grows. Thoughtful details demonstrate that you are not just physically or socially present, but emotionally attuned. The target begins to associate you with comfort, care, and subtle delight, increasing desire and dependence. The dangers of overdoing it. Over-attention or excessive flattery can feel manipulative or insincere. If every detail is exaggerated or forced, trust diminishes. Subtlety is crucial. Gestures should feel natural, not calculated. Lessons of the chapter. Observe carefully. Small cues reveal desires, preferences, and moods. Act thoughtfully. Minor gestures often leave the most lasting impressions. Be consistent but subtle. Attention works best when it feels natural and sincere. Engage emotionally. Details should foster attachment, not overwhelm or manipulate. Attention to detail strengthens emotional connection and prepares the target for a more poetic, enchanting experience. Once these subtle bonds are established, the next step is to poeticize your presence, making ordinary interactions feel extraordinary. In Chapter 12, we explore how presence, ritual, and artistry can elevate fascination to an unforgettable level. Chapter 12. Poeticize your presence. Once attention to detail has been mastered, the next step in seduction is to transform your presence into an experience. Greene emphasizes that ordinary interactions can be elevated into something memorable, enchanting, and emotionally charged. When your presence feels unique, even mundane moments become irresistible. The art of poeticizing lies in intention and subtle theatrics. Your gestures, tone, expressions, and timing should all convey charm and sophistication. Small rituals, playful nuances, or memorable habits can make every encounter feel like a story unfolding, leaving a lasting impression on the target's mind. The power of presence. Humans are drawn to experiences. When ordinary moments are infused with artistry, humor, or elegance, the target associates you with delight and fascination. Your presence becomes addictive because it transforms routine life into something emotionally rich and memorable. Why it works. People remember feelings more than facts. By creating poetic, engaging interactions, you imprint yourself on their memory and imagination. Ordinary conversations and gestures become imbued with emotional resonance, making your presence unforgettable. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive dramatization or forced charm can feel artificial or insincere. The key is natural elegance. Your presence should elevate interactions without overwhelming or alienating the target. Lessons of the chapter. Infuse ordinary moments with artistry. Small gestures, habits, or rituals can create lasting emotional impact. Engage the senses and emotions. Make interactions memorable, delightful, and unique. Balance charm with authenticity. Presence works best when it feels effortless, not forced. Transform your interactions into experiences. Leave the target eagerly anticipating your next encounter. Poetic presence strengthens fascination and emotional attachment, preparing the target for vulnerability and deeper connection. The next step is to disarm through vulnerability, showing subtle openness that invites protection, empathy, and intimacy. In Chapter 13, we explore how carefully revealed weaknesses can enhance desire and deepen bonds. Chapter 13. Disarm through vulnerability. Once your presence is captivating, the next step in seduction is showing subtle vulnerability. Greene emphasizes that strength alone can attract, but true emotional attachment deepens when the target senses your humanity. By revealing small weaknesses or insecurities, you invite empathy, protection, and closeness. The art of vulnerability lies in balance. You reveal just enough to make yourself relatable, approachable, and human, but not so much that you appear weak or needy. A moment of honesty, a shared fear, or a subtle admission of imperfection can open emotional doors and foster intimacy. The power of vulnerability. Humans are drawn to authenticity. When someone allows themselves to be seen, the target feels a psychological pull to protect, nurture, or connect. Vulnerability builds trust, strengthens emotional bonds, and makes desire more profound and personal. Why it works. People crave connection and understanding. Seeing someone's authentic side encourages empathy and emotional investment. Desire shifts from surface attraction to deeper attachment, as the target perceives you as real and multidimensional. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive vulnerability can overwhelm or create dependency. If the target senses neediness or emotional manipulation, attraction can diminish. Disclose selectively, ensuring moments of weakness feel natural and intentional. Lessons of the chapter. reveal small relatable truths. Authenticity builds trust and connection. Balance openness with confidence. Vulnerability should invite closeness, not dependence. Use honesty to deepen attachment. Emotional resonance strengthens desire. Maintain subtlety. The right amount of vulnerability makes you human, not helpless. Vulnerability transforms fascination into emotional intimacy, preparing the target for subtle yet powerful psychological influence. The next step is to confuse desire and reality, the perfect illusion, creating a world where fantasy and attraction merge, heightening desire and leaving an unforgettable impression. In Chapter 14, we explore how blending reality with imagination can captivate the mind and emotions, making the target deeply enmeshed in fascination. Chapter 14, Confuse Desire and Reality, the Perfect Illusion. Phase 3 begins with a powerful tactic, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. Greene emphasizes that desire intensifies when the target cannot distinguish what is real from what is imagined. By crafting an environment of illusion, the seducer creates a captivating psychological experience that feels both magical and irresistible. The art of the perfect illusion lies in suggestion, mystery, and emotional manipulation. Subtle contradictions, fleeting gestures, and ambiguous statements make the target question their perceptions, pulling them deeper into fascination. They start to associate you with dreams, fantasies, and idealized desires, things they cannot fully grasp or define. The power of illusion. Humans are drawn to mystery and imagination. When reality is infused with fantasy, the target becomes emotionally and mentally invested, chasing the seducer as one would chase a dream. Desire is amplified because the target participates in creating the illusion themselves, filling in gaps with their hopes, fantasies, and emotions. Why it works. People are naturally attracted to what seems elusive or extraordinary. By carefully manipulating perception, the seducer makes themselves seem larger than life, more captivating than reality allows. The target experiences heightened emotions, longing, and anticipation. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive illusion can backfire if the target feels deceived or manipulated. The key is subtlety. The fantasy should enchant, not alienate. Too much ambiguity or contradiction can cause confusion and distrust. Lessons of the chapter. Blend reality with suggestion. Let imagination fill in the gaps. Create subtle contradictions. Mystery intensifies fascination. Engage emotionally. Make the target feel both desire and wonder. Maintain credibility. Illusion works best when it feels enchanting, not deceptive. Closing transition. Confusing desire and reality primes the target for isolation and deeper attachment. Once the line between fantasy and reality is blurred, the next step is to isolate the victim, making them rely more on your presence and influence. In Chapter 15, we explore how emotional and social isolation strengthens fascination and control. Chapter 15. Isolate the victim. Once the target is captivated by illusion and fascination, the next step is isolation. Greene emphasizes that when the target's attention and emotional energy are focused primarily on the seducer, attachment and dependency intensify. By reducing external influences, the target becomes more receptive, engaged, and psychologically entwined. The art of isolation lies in subtlety. It is rarely about force or coercion. Instead, it is about shaping circumstances so the target naturally spends more time with you, relies on your guidance, and values your presence above outside distractions. Small gestures, emotional exclusivity, or shared secrets can create a sense that your presence is irreplaceable. The power of isolation. Humans are influenced by their environment. When external voices and distractions are minimized, the target internalizes the seducer's influence more deeply. Emotional investment grows and attachment becomes stronger. Isolation also heightens dependence, making the target more responsive to your desires and actions. Why it works. People naturally seek connection and validation. When a seductive figure becomes the primary source of these, desire and loyalty intensify. Isolation does not mean physical imprisonment, it means emotional focus, directing attention and affection toward you. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive control or overt manipulation can trigger resistance, suspicion, or resentment. Isolation should feel natural and voluntary, not forced or oppressive. The target must believe their choices remain their own. Lessons of the chapter. Encourage emotional and social focus on yourself. Create natural dependence without overt control. Use exclusivity subtly. Shared secrets or moments can strengthen attachment. Balance influence with freedom. Voluntary emotional focus increases desire. Maintain subtlety. Isolation works best when it feels natural, not manipulative. Emotional and social isolation strengthens fascination, preparing the target for bold demonstrations of value. The next step is to prove yourself, showing courage, skill, or daring to increase admiration and attachment. In Chapter 16, we explore how proving your worth solidifies emotional influence. Chapter 16. Prove yourself. Once the target is captivated and emotionally focused, the next step is to demonstrate value and courage. Greene emphasizes that admiration deepens attachment, and nothing builds fascination like witnessing boldness, skill, or dedication firsthand. By proving yourself, you transform intrigue into respect and desire. The art of proving yourself lies in timing and authenticity. Perform actions that highlight your competence, bravery, or commitment, but never boast. The target should witness your qualities naturally, ideally in moments that challenge comfort or expectations. Small victories, thoughtful achievements, or daring gestures can make a lasting impression. The power of demonstration. Humans are drawn to competence and confidence. Seeing someone navigate challenges, take risks, or act decisively inspires respect and admiration. The target begins to associate you not only with desire, but with strength, reliability, and excitement. Why it works. Admiration reinforces attachment. When desire is combined with respect, the emotional bond intensifies. The target perceives you as exceptional, someone worth following, protecting, or investing in emotionally. The dangers of overdoing it. Overperforming or seeking constant recognition can appear desperate or artificial. Authenticity is essential. Qualities should be shown, not announced. Too much emphasis on proving oneself can undermine the allure and create skepticism. Lessons of the chapter. Demonstrate courage, skill, and commitment naturally. Allow the target to witness your value without boasting. Balance achievement with subtlety. Fascination grows when admiration feels earned. Use boldness strategically. Timing and context amplify emotional impact. Proving yourself strengthens respect and attachment, setting the stage for deeper emotional vulnerability. The next step is to effect a regression, guiding the target into more dependent, open, and emotionally engaged states. In Chapter 17, we explore how regression deepens influence and intimacy. Chapter 17. Effect a regression. After proving your value and deepening attachment, the next step is to guide the target into a more vulnerable, dependent state. Greene emphasizes that regression, encouraging the target to revisit childhood emotions, insecurities, or patterns of dependency, can intensify emotional connection and reliance on the seducer. The art of regression lies in subtle emotional cues. By creating environments or interactions that evoke past feelings, comforting them in moments of doubt or appealing to their inner child, the seducer can make the target feel safe, understood, and emotionally drawn. Regression creates an intimacy that feels profound and irresistible. The power of regression. Humans respond strongly to emotions rooted in formative experiences. When someone is allowed to relive and express vulnerable feelings safely, they form stronger attachments. The target begins to rely on the seducer for reassurance, understanding, and emotional fulfillment. Why it works. Regression lowers defenses and fosters deep emotional openness. Desire and attachment shift from surface fascination to dependency and trust. The target experiences a psychological bond that feels both comforting and compelling. The dangers of overdoing it. Pushing regression too far or exploiting vulnerabilities can create resentment or emotional harm. The seducer must ensure that emotional exploration feels safe, consensual, and nurturing, rather than manipulative. Lessons of the chapter. Encourage emotional openness gently. Create a safe space for vulnerability. Use regression subtly. Evoke past feelings without forcing them. Build trust and intimacy. Dependency grows when the target feels understood and supported. Balance influence with care. Regression strengthens bonds without causing harm. Guiding the target into emotional regression deepens dependence and prepares them for transgressive or taboo experiences. In Chapter 18, we explore how stirring up the transgressive and taboo can heighten thrill, fascination, and desire. Chapter 18. Stir up the transgressive and taboo. At this advanced stage of seduction, Greene emphasizes that breaking boundaries heightens fascination. Humans are naturally drawn to what is forbidden, mysterious, or socially transgressive. By gently introducing elements that challenge norms or stir taboo desires, the seducer creates thrill, excitement, and irresistible allure. The art of stirring transgression lies in subtlety and timing. You do not shock or offend. Instead, you hint at hidden pleasures, secret experiences, or ideas that lie outside the ordinary. These glimpses into the unconventional trigger curiosity and excitement, making interactions emotionally charged and psychologically compelling. The power of forbidden desire. Humans are intrigued by what is restricted or socially forbidden. When the target senses that an experience is slightly taboo, their attention heightens and desire intensifies. The mix of danger and curiosity creates an intoxicating emotional high. Why it works. Desire thrives on novelty and challenge. Introducing subtle transgression breaks routine and predicts emotional risk, which heightens engagement. The target becomes mentally and emotionally invested, drawn to experiences they feel they shouldn't have but desperately want. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive transgression can alienate, scare, or offend. If the target feels manipulated or morally threatened, attraction can reverse. The key is controlled rebellion, hinting at the forbidden while keeping interactions safe, intriguing, and consensual. Lessons of the chapter. Introduce taboo subtly. Hint at forbidden experiences without overwhelming the target. Balance thrill with safety. Desire grows when the experience feels slightly risky, not dangerous. Use transgression strategically. Social or emotional boundaries heighten fascination when respected. Engage imagination and curiosity. The forbidden becomes emotionally addictive when paired with allure and subtlety. Stirring the transgressive and taboo takes seduction to a thrilling emotional level, preparing the target for experiences that mix pleasure, challenge, and risk. In Chapter 19, we explore using spiritual lures, appealing to higher ideals and the target's sense of purpose to deepen attachment. Chapter 19. Use spiritual lures. As seduction deepens, Greene emphasizes that appealing to the target's higher ideals, purpose, or quest for meaning can create profound emotional attachment. Beyond physical or emotional desire, spiritual lures engage the psyche at a deeper level, making the seducer unforgettable and their presence transformative. The art of using spiritual lures lies in aligning with the target's aspirations, values, or sense of destiny. You do not preach or manipulate. Instead, you inspire, elevate, and resonate with their inner longings. A thoughtful conversation, a shared vision, or subtle guidance toward their ideals can make interactions feel meaningful and transcendent. The power of higher connection. Humans are drawn to purpose and significance. When someone feels that a relationship connects them to something larger than themselves, attachment intensifies. Desire is no longer just physical or emotional, it becomes existential. Why it works. By appealing to the target's ideals, you become more than a presence. You become a symbol of aspiration, growth, and emotional fulfillment. They associate you with personal meaning and inspiration, which strengthens fascination and loyalty. The dangers of overdoing it. Overly moralistic or manipulative attempts at spiritual guidance can feel forced, pretentious, or controlling. Authenticity is essential. Lures must align naturally with your personality, and the target's genuine values. Lessons of the chapter. Inspire rather than instruct. Spiritual lures should resonate, not manipulate. Align with ideals and values. Connect on a level beyond physical or emotional desire. Elevate interactions. Make your presence feel meaningful and transformative. Maintain authenticity. Spiritual appeal works only when genuine and congruent. Using spiritual lures deepens emotional and psychological attachment, preparing the target for experiences that combine pleasure with tension. In Chapter 20, we explore mixing pleasure with pain, heightening emotional extremes to make the bond addictive and unforgettable. Chapter 20. Mix pleasure with pain. At this stage of seduction, Greene emphasizes that emotional extremes create addiction. Humans respond more intensely when joy and tension, reward and challenge, pleasure and pain are intertwined. By alternating between delight and difficulty, you make the target emotionally dependent and captivated. The art of mixing pleasure with pain lies in balance. Small challenges, teasing, or moments of uncertainty amplify the intensity of positive experiences. A compliment after a pause, attention after absence, or indulgence followed by restraint can make interactions emotionally charged and unforgettable. The power of emotional extremes. Emotional highs are more vivid when contrasted with lows. Pleasure feels more exhilarating when preceded by tension, and desire becomes stronger when occasional frustration is introduced. Humans are naturally drawn to these fluctuations, which create a psychological addiction to the seducer. Why it works. The interplay of reward and challenge engages the target's mind and emotions deeply. Anticipation, uncertainty, and excitement stimulate desire and attachment simultaneously. The target becomes invested in not just the pleasure, but the emotional journey itself. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive pain or harsh challenges can lead to resentment or withdrawal. The balance must remain subtle. Frustration should intrigue, not punish. Emotional extremes are effective only when carefully controlled and timed. Lessons of the chapter. Alternate pleasure and challenge. Emotional contrast strengthens desire. Create anticipation and tension. Make rewards feel earned and memorable. Balance intensity. Emotional highs must never be overshadowed by negative extremes. Use carefully. Pleasure and pain together make attachment powerful, but must remain controlled. Mixing pleasure with pain primes the target for deeper psychological engagement. In Chapter 21, we explore giving them space to fall, letting absence and anticipation amplify desire while subtly shifting the power dynamic so that the pursuer becomes the pursued. Chapter 21. Give them space to fall. The pursuer is pursued. After mixing pleasure with pain, Greene emphasizes that absence can heighten desire. By giving the target space to miss you, imagine you, and invest emotionally, you shift the dynamic so that they become the pursuer. Emotional tension thrives in the gaps created by subtle withdrawal. The art of giving space lies in timing and subtlety. You do not vanish entirely, but you reduce your presence just enough to make them curious, attentive, and eager. Moments of absence create longing, intensifying emotional attachment and desire. The power of absence. Humans often value what they cannot immediately have. By stepping back strategically, you stimulate imagination and anticipation. The target begins to chase, think, and feel more deeply, investing in the relationship emotionally and mentally. Why it works. Scarcity heightens fascination. When attention is intermittent, the target experiences longing, excitement, and emotional engagement. Desire becomes self-sustaining because they are now participating in the pursuit, increasing psychological dependence on your presence. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive absence or neglect can create detachment or resentment. Withdrawal must feel natural and intentional, never punitive or careless. The goal is to deepen fascination, not to create distance that alienates. Lessons of the chapter. Step back strategically. Absence should stimulate curiosity and anticipation. Allow the target to invest. Make them emotionally and mentally engaged in pursuit. Balance presence and withdrawal. Scarcity heightens desire, but overdoing it risks detachment. Use timing to your advantage. The pursuit should feel natural, not manipulated. Giving the target space strengthens their desire and deepens emotional involvement. The next step is to use physical lures, engaging the senses and creating tangible connection that reinforces the psychological and emotional bond. In Chapter 22, we explore how touch, presence, and subtle physical attraction amplify fascination. Chapter 22. Use physical lures. After creating emotional tension and anticipation, Greene emphasizes that physical presence and subtle touch can intensify desire. Humans are deeply influenced by sensory experiences, and carefully applied physical cues enhance attraction, deepen connection, and reinforce psychological fascination. The art of physical lures lies in subtlety and timing. A light touch, a meaningful glance, or confident body language can signal interest, warmth, and availability without overwhelming the target. Physical cues complement emotional and psychological strategies, making the experience of interaction more vivid and memorable. The power of sensory connection. Humans respond instinctively to touch, posture, and proximity. When physical cues align with emotional engagement, desire intensifies naturally. Subtle gestures stimulate anticipation and arousal, reinforcing the bond and creating a multisensory experience that the target cannot easily forget. Why it works. Sensory engagement strengthens psychological attachment. When the target experiences connection on both emotional and physical levels, fascination becomes more compelling and immersive. Touch and presence amplify anticipation, making each interaction emotionally charged. The dangers of overdoing it. Excessive or poorly timed physical advances can create discomfort, fear, or rejection. The key is respect, observation, and responsiveness. Physical lures should invite, not pressure, ensuring that the target feels safe, desired, and intrigued. Lessons of the chapter. Use touch and presence subtly. Small gestures can communicate interest and warmth. Align physical cues with emotional engagement. Desire is amplified when body and mind are connected. Observe and respect boundaries. Attraction grows when the target feels safe and intrigued. Create memorable sensory experiences. Physical lures reinforce psychological and emotional attachment. Using physical lures enhances the emotional and psychological bond, preparing the target for bold, transformative actions. In Chapter 23, we explore mastering the bold move, taking decisive action at the perfect moment to leave a lasting impact and solidify attachment. Chapter 23. Master the bold move. By now, the target is deeply engaged emotionally, psychologically, and physically. Greene emphasizes that decisive, daring action at the right moment can transform fascination into lasting attachment. A bold move signals confidence, courage, and inevitability, leaving a strong impression that is difficult to forget. The art of the bold move lies in timing, intuition, and observation. You act when the target is most receptive, ensuring that your action feels natural, thrilling, and irresistible. Whether it's a daring gesture, a direct declaration, or a calculated risk, the move must communicate certainty and self-assuredness. The power of decisiveness. Humans are drawn to confidence and clarity. Bold moves cut through uncertainty and ambiguity, creating an emotional climax that cements desire and admiration. A well-timed action evokes excitement, respect, and deeper psychological attachment. Why it works. Timing and context magnify the impact. A bold move executed at the emotional peak resonates far more than delayed or premature actions. The target experiences intensity, excitement, and a sense of inevitability, increasing their emotional investment. The dangers of overdoing it. Poorly timed or reckless actions can backfire, causing fear, rejection, or loss of trust. Boldness must always be balanced with awareness of the target state, boundaries, and readiness. Lessons of the chapter. Act decisively at the right moment. Confidence heightens attraction. Observe emotional cues. Timing ensures maximum impact. Balance daring with sensitivity. Boldness should thrill, not intimidate. Create memorable moments. The right move leaves an unforgettable impression. Mastering the bold move sets the stage for reflection and responsibility. The final chapter, Chapter 24, Beware the Aftereffects, explores the long-term consequences of intense seduction, reminding the reader that power and attachment carry both rewards and risks. Chapter 24, Beware the Aftereffects. After all the phases of seduction, Greene warns that intense emotional, psychological, and physical engagement leaves lasting consequences. The more powerful the seduction, the greater the impact, both for the target and the seducer. Awareness and responsibility are essential to avoid harm or regret. The art of managing after-effects lies in reflection and balance. After emotional highs, the target may experience confusion, longing, or emotional dependency. The seducer too may face moral dilemmas or unintended consequences. Understanding these dynamics helps maintain control and prevent negative fallout. The power of awareness. Seduction is transformative, but it can leave scars. Emotional extremes, deep attachment, and psychological manipulation can affect the target's sense of self, trust, and emotional stability. A responsible seducer recognizes these effects and navigates them with care. Why it matters. Every action in seduction carries weight. The stronger the attraction and involvement, the deeper the psychological imprint. Being mindful of the after-effects ensures that seduction remains compelling without causing lasting harm. The dangers of ignoring it. Neglecting the aftermath can result in emotional trauma, broken trust, or social consequences. The seducer may also face guilt or loss of reputation. Awareness, timing, and ethical consideration are crucial to managing power responsibly. Lessons of the chapter. Recognize the weight of intense attachment. Emotional impact is profound and lasting. Reflect on consequences. Both seducer and target are affected by the experience. Maintain responsibility. Power should be exercised with care and respect. Control intensity. Balance fascination with ethical awareness to prevent harm. Understanding the after-effects completes the journey through seduction. Mastery is not just about attraction and desire, but also about responsibility, awareness, and strategic emotional intelligence. With Phase 3 concluded, the reader has now explored the full spectrum of seduction, from initial intrigue to deep attachment and psychological mastery, equipped with insight, strategy, and caution.